Honesty, passion, experience. It's Timberwolves Explosion, hosted on the sportstuff.com. And now, your host, Paladino Joey. Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Timberwolves Explosion is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio, and of course many others out there. Thank you once again for joining me today as the Minnesota Timberwolves had an okay week. Not too bad. I believe I predicted this, though the games were a little different, but same record. Minnesota went 2-2. As an old friend of mine, in case he's listening, Nicholas Borbum used to say, could be worse, right? So, yeah, it could be worse considering how the season has gone up and down. Minnesota Timberwolves backcourt, lots of fun to watch. We're certainly a lot more entertaining to watch nowadays. Sometimes the defense does not apply. And, of course, Karl Anthony Towns recovering from a hand injury. And, well, Steph Curry took 58 games to come back from his non-shooting hand. From breaking his non-shooting hand back on October 30th, which... you just put that in perspective, and you just, okay. You know what I mean? You just say, okay, that's nice. I can't believe how long that takes. Non-shooting hand. I mean, it's a shooting hand, and he's Steph Curry. Okay, maybe. Non-shooting hand? I don't know. Karl Anthony Towns, non-shooting wrist? Okay. I mean, we'll see. We'll see if he comes back at all. But it'd be nice to see a little chemistry building between D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. I'm sure they'll be just fine. Nice chemistry building, though, with a lot of the new guys that are here. Obviously, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley. I almost called him Michael Beasley. Yuck. Malik Beasley. I'll take him any day over the other one. And how about James Johnson? What a nice passer. He looks like Magic Johnson out there in some of the plays he did against Chicago and such. What a nice passer that guy is. I'd love to have him back with the Wolves, maybe not at the current price. Is it Hernan Gomez? Yeah, I suppose it is. Juancho. I guess that's his nickname, Juancho. So I guess I'll call him Juancho, even though I'm not a huge nickname guy. That one's kind of cool. So let's just call him Juancho. That's what he likes to go by. So there you go. Minnesota Timberwolves, we'll open things up with 4 games to review, 3 games to preview. The Wolves lose to Orlando 136-125, and like I said, defense does not apply, unfortunately. But it was an entertaining game for the most part. James Johnson just continues to shine. 17 points off the bench. Very, very solid performance. Liked what I saw. Jake Layman just continuing to get better and better, healthier and healthier, this and that. Malik Beasley, he's kind of in and out with his shooting, but when his shooting is on, he's so deadly. This game, he's just okay. 17 points, but D'Angelo Russell with that silky smooth 3-point shot. And overall, I keep wanting to call him the Silver Fox, but he's the Blue Fox. He's not old enough to be called a Silver Fox. He's, 23 years old, so can't call a 23-year-old a Silver Fox. So he's the Blue Fox, and he's one heck of a Blue Fox with that silky smooth game out there. Wolves shot well for the most part in this game, I'd have to say, almost 50%. 38% from downtown, 44 attempts. That's kind of the 3-point watch. The free throws, you think Andrew Wiggins is still on the roster with, 66%. That's kind of lame. 2/3 of their shots going. If their threes went in at that pace, that'd be great. Juancho with a rare double-double because just doesn't rebound all that much sometimes, but in this game he did. Again, a very entertaining game to watch. Orlando's 5 games under 500, yet they're the 7th seed in the East and 2nd place in the Southeast Division, which says something. The East is very top-heavy, but very bottom-weak, I guess you could say. It's entertaining, but unfortunately, the Magic just kind of took care of business. Terrence Ross, who's one of those kind of guys who he can get hot sometimes. I mean, he's had a 50-point game in his career. He's more of a sixth-man type of guy, kind of like Williams over there with the Clippers, formerly with Philadelphia and such. Obviously can have his great moments, this and that. Kind of a natural scorer. Even like Jamal Crawford at times can go off like that. Terrence Ross certainly went off in this one. He was inside game, outside game. 25 attempts from the floor. He was nailing threes at a pretty damn good pace, about 50%, just under 50%, crazy. And athletic plays, reverse layups, dunks, one thing after another. Again, defense did not apply, and that was frustrating to watch. Vucevic got pretty much what he wanted the entire game. 2/3 of his shots went in, basically, obviously close to the basket, but Well, 27, 10, and 5. I guess hello, Kevin Garnett. I guess you could say that. He always used to brag about the 20, 10, 5, which are amazing statistics. It's those Larry Bird kind of numbers. But at the end of the day, again, it was frustrating to lose in this fashion. But at least the Magic were entertaining to watch. There's no question about that. 12 assists from two-time dunk champ runner-up Aaron Gordon, poor guy. 7 assists for Markelle Fultz, part of the process, trusting the process in Philadelphia, but they didn't trust his process enough because he was always hurt. He's been okay for the Magic this year. He's been okay, but I mean, he's certainly nowhere near being a top 5 pick in the lottery. I don't know. It's just one of those games. You just kind of move on. Just chalk up another L on that side of the. Just chalk up another one for the loss column for the Minnesota Timberwolves in that one. March the 1st, we host the Dallas Mavericks, and Kristaps Porzingis showed up. It was a unicorn show. It really was. I mean, he did everything he wanted pretty much, especially those catch and shoot threes from way, way out there, like 25 feet away or more. He was nailing them, and I guess we can call it the top of the key. I guess we can call it the top of the arc, top of the key, whatever it is, but way up there. I always thought the top of the key was the circle beyond the beyond the free throw line, like a high school 3-pointer. But I guess it's an NBA 3 too, if you want to call it that. He was way out there though, and the Wolves lose by 20 in a game where, again, did defense apply in this one? I guess a little bit, but Seth Curry looking like his brother, yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah, he still wound up with 27 points, starting at point guard in the game. Did a damn good job. To be honest, J.J. Barea wound up with 7 assists in the game. Feel good for him. Tim Hardaway Jr., who I think would fit in nicely with the Wolves at the small forward position. But I suppose we have like 9 small forwards, but they're like kind of playing every other position. At the end of the day, they're guys that you kind of think of as a power forward, like James Johnson and Hernan Gomez. Hernan Gomez looks like a power forward, but his height isn't really, all that great. That's why he doesn't get a trillion rebounds. Same with James Johnson, Double J, basically you could call him. But Tim Hardaway obviously filling in a nice role with the Mavericks. Porzingis just absolutely destroyed us in this game, and took on the responsibility with no Luka Doncic, much to the chagrin of Minnesota Timberwolves fans in this game. I'm sure wanted to see him play, wanted to see Jalen Brunson too, maybe as well. And kind of is what it is. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist just kind of vanished off the face of the earth. Remember, he was once thought of as being a pretty good player, but 2.5 minutes for the Mavericks in garbage time. Ouch. Courtney Lee, Guy Me, and Marcus the Forecaster always had like almost had like a fetish for, like, oh God, we got to get him on the Wells. We got to get him. Yeah, 20 minutes of hardly anything. But Porzingis, if you like unicorns, if you like them, he was nailing them. He missed a number of threes as well, but anytime you thought the Wolves were going to get back in the game, Porzingis just went out there and did his thing and destroyed the Timberwolves 38 points. Frustrating night. Malik Beasley also did not shoot well. D'Angelo Russell did not shoot well. Wolves did not shoot well, generally speaking, in this game, 36%, and that's why we only wound up with 91 points. Mavericks defense was good, and honestly, Kristaps Porzingis is looked on as a very damn good defensive player, and he is. Naz Reid was relegated to 4 of 13. He did get 12 rebounds, and Hernan Gomez, or shall we just call him Juancho, wound up with 12 rebounds as well. So nice to see him getting back-to-back double-doubles. That's encouraging. Culver against his Texas team there actually had one of his better games, 50% from everywhere in general, 3-pointers and from the floor in general, 12 points off the bench. Actually really liked this game from Jarrett Culver. He was one of the few bright signs in this game, to be quite honest, because just about everyone else shot terribly. Just wasn't their night. I mean, everybody. Jordan McLaughlin was kind of invisible. Layman was mediocre at best. James Johnson was kind of ghost-like in this game. D'Angelo and Malik Beasley shot about 30%. I mean, yuck. You're not going to win games like that at the end of the day. So, well, they both shot 33%. Yay. They made 1/3 of their shots, which, could be worse, but sure as hell could be better, too. Just wasn't a good night for the Wolves, and Porzingis dominated the Wolves in this game. 18,000 people, though, showed up at Target Center. That's pretty good for a Monday night. Not bad. Nope, Sunday night, pardon me. Sunday night in Target Center. Sunday night in Target Center. Good crowd, and they got to see a pretty good basketball team make us look bad, even without their overall best player, as good as Porzingis is, because he's an awesome player. And when you think about Porzingis and Luka Doncic, it's a damn good team. We'll move forward here with, again, 4 games to review. Tuesday the 3rd of March, This was fun to watch. This was very fun to watch. Minnesota and New Orleans. Back and forth. Again, I'm going to say it for the 99th time this show. Defense does not apply. I guess that's going to probably be the title of this episode, unless I come up with something randomly as we go forward. Because sometimes I just go with the flow, and this time I'm going with the flow, if you know what I'm saying. Juancho wound up with 8 rebounds. He's been playing very well, generally speaking, and a lot of people like him. A lot of people see him as a pretty good find for Gerson Rosas. He was a relative unknown, I'd have to say. It's like, yeah, you see his name here and there, but you don't really think about Juancho Herman Gomez. You just don't. Hernan Gomez. I keep calling him Herman. It's Hernan Gomez. Josh Okogie, I thought this whole week played very solidly, to say the least. Malik Beasley made up for a pretty poor shooting night and absolutely dominated against the New Orleans Saints. No, the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm just kidding. And this was in the Bayou, as you like to call it. 11 of 13. He was dominant. He was hitting his threes. He was attacking the basket. He was doing a little bit of everything. He was making good plays back and forth. D'Angelo Russell, when he makes his shots, are so crisp, as Marcus the Forecaster used to say. I mean, just crisp. The way he just releases it, and it just goes right down. I mean, there is a beautiful arc to that shot. It's just, unfortunately, some games it's just not falling. Like, the arc is there, the release is there, but the result is not. That's where the frustration comes in, generally speaking. But you know, we're all human, I suppose, and so is D'Angelo Russell. He was very human in this game, even though he had some great moments as well. Jared Culver's, again, solid game, very solid game for him off the bench, 5 of 8, 19 minutes. Again, his role is what it is at this moment. I'm not sure what his role is going to be long-term for this team, and when you take him 6th overall and you trade up and all that, it's kind of a bummer, but it's a crying shame the Wolves couldn't have gotten D'Angelo Russell from the get-go. Or maybe you wind up with the other guy, but I suppose if if we wound up with Garland, then who knows? Who knows what the approach would have been with this franchise? Would we still have chased D'Angelo Russell? Who knows? But, we'll never know now. James Johnson continues to play very solid. Again, 5 assists in the game. And again, I love this guy's passing skills. I love his game. He would be a cool teammate, I gotta think. Absolutely. Jordan McLaughlin, very solid game off the bench. This was just entertaining, kind of up and down the court basketball. New Orleans was getting some points in this game that were like, okay, can we please put a body on somebody, or please get the bleeping rebound? Because, yeah, a guy by the name of Zion Williamson, Mount Zion, as you might want to call him, 3 offensive rebounds. Every one of those counted for points. No question about that, obviously. And there were a lot of offensive rebounds by the New Orleans Pelicans in this game. 13, which was slightly frustrating. The Wolves 10. It could be a lot worse. But I do think, I don't know, it's just New Orleans played a hell of a game, but the Wolves had an awesome run in the fourth quarter, 20-5, and the Wolves pull away for the win. But, man, I mean, again, these Pelicans just had their way for the longest time until that big run by the Wolves that ended up saving the day. Brandon Ingram looks like a future star, obviously, Zion Williamson, and even Lonzo Ball. That's Vinrock Vince Germano's guy right there. A little bit crazy at times getting the turnovers, but still a very solid game. It's an interesting backcourt they got there with Drew Holiday and Lonzo Ball, accounting for 20 assists. That's a damn good performance by those two guys. 20 assists by Lonzo Ball and Drew Holiday. Derek Favors also, kind of still hanging around and starting and having a solid game, but nothing spectacular. Jahlil Okafor got a DNP. Ouch. Jahlil Okafor, a DNP. Ugh. That sucks. That sucks. A guy who could have gone number 1 overall in the draft in 2015, but sometimes that's just how it goes. Loved this game, though. Very entertaining basketball. Nice to see Naz Reid getting 14 rebounds in the game. Looked a lot better in this one versus going against like Vucevic or something, who absolutely, beat the crap out of him, unfortunately, and Porzingis at times as well. Made him look bad, but Naz Reid can play in this league. Absolutely. It's nice to see him rebounding the ball because he's the biggest guy on the floor right now. He actually has a little bit of weight on him and a little bit of strength compared to some of these other guys that are skinny and 6'8". They can't even, most of them are barely even a power forward at all. And that's all you got. I mean, it's kind of sad. Obviously, James Johnson's a very tough guy, but he's not a very tall guy to play any type of power forward center position. So, and I don't know, if you want to go small ball, that's your choice, but you can't go small ball all the time. I just don't see it. I mean, you're not going to survive against the Anthony Davises of the world. He's going to destroy you for like 40 points every time. Every time. And that's just an average game for him. It wouldn't even be like, oh, what a game by Anthony Davis would be like, yeah, well, what'd you expect? He was just, going right over everybody and out-muscling and out-powering everybody, out-positioning everybody. And that's my fear going in the future with any type of small ball. I got to expect some size being added to the Timberwolves in the offseason, the draft night, free agency, all the above, if free agency exists anymore. But I guess it kind of still does. I'm sure it still does. But, it's not like we have $1 billion of cap space. Again, though, very, very, very entertaining up and down the floor type of game. Some threes, some attack in the basket. There was a little bit of everything. A little bit of everything. If you like three-point shots, you got that. You like what I like, slashing to the hoop and dunking on people, or, so a little bit of mid-range game here and there, too. I like guys that slash to the hoop a lot. And, some big man game as well. You got a little bit of everything in this game, and, boy, that was a lot of scoring. 139, 134. Nice win by Minnesota. In fact, this one got some recognition by some people out there like, that was a good game. And Malik Beasley's talking again about how we're one of the best teams in the league. Just people just don't know it yet. I hope you're right, Malik, because obviously 18 wins this on March 3rd doesn't look so good, but it's not all your fault, of course. You were not getting the playing time you probably deserved in Denver because you're buried behind multiple players. So it is what it is. Gary Harris and, again, Jamal Murray, one of my favorite players in the league. So it just kind of is what it is there. Minnesota Timberwolves come back to Target Center for a little revenge versus Chicago. We always seem to struggle against this team, especially in Chicago, which is annoying. Stupid Zach LaVine always kicks our butts, but not in this game. No Zach LaVine. No Zach LaVine in this one, much to the chagrin of many Minnesota Timberwolves fans. No Porzingis with Dallas, no Doncic versus Dallas, and no Zach LaVine versus Chicago. Probably frustrated a lot of people, and they're probably like, well, that's why we beat them, because there's no Zach LaVine. Well, okay, beat them anyway. There's no Karl Anthony Towns either. Gee, I feel so bad for the Bulls because, some would say the Wolves are better off without Karl Anthony Towns this year. The win-loss record with him was pretty lousy. Malik Beasley, another very solid game. 50% from downtown, a little bit over 50, generally speaking. D'Angelo Russell did not shoot very well this week. He just didn't, and he was very sloppy in this game. Actually, I think it was a generally sloppy week for D'Angelo Russell. He was a little bit more on the clumsy side than the Blue Fox this week, unfortunately. So the little beast versus Michael Beasley, the beast. This is the little beast, I guess you could call him now. The little beast was definitely much that most of this week, despite a couple of poor shooting games, generally speaking. But Naz Reid just continues to play well, and I liked what I saw in this one as well. The only game he really didn't do particularly well against was Orlando, and you're going against Vucevic. Like that's the definition of a big man in today's league. That guy can play against anybody, and he's been around for a while. Obviously, going back to the other Nikola Pekovic. I always said we have the wrong Nikola because Vucevic is a hell of a player. Though I would take Pekovic right now to help out with Karl Anthony Towns. That would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Again, James Johnson with a couple of spectacular plays in this game. I loved what I saw from him. The guy can really play. It's a beautiful, beautiful effort from him in this one. Some great passes. And it was a tic-tac-toe type of play. James Johnson just leading up to D'Angelo Russell, who literally caught it and flipped it behind the back to Malik Beasley for a dunk. I mean, that was absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite type of plays. That's the kind of basketball I love. I don't like just predictable, just rotate around and kick it out for three. Oh, he missed. Get the rebound, kick it back out to someone for three again. That's just, it's too predictable. It's cute and everything, especially when you get to do all your little shimmy. No, I hate that crap. I really hate it, actually. And I'm not the only person. There's a lot of people that hate it. It's okay to shoot threes. It's okay. Maybe be a little more respectful when you make your shots. Slightly more respectful would be appreciated. But also at the same time, again, it's nice to have the whole repertoire. You can shoot your threes, 43 attempts, but attacking the hoop and some nice plays up the court. I mean, moving the ball up the court, up-tempo style. I like that. I like it a lot. As long as it's us making the shots, not the other team. Like us getting schooled in transition is no fun. So why don't we be the team schooling the other one in transition? Makes it feel a hell of a lot better. Again, D'Angelo Russell, when his shots go in, they're gorgeous. But, again, kind of a sloppy week for him, I'd have to say. D'Angelo Russell, where the little beast, I think, stood out a little bit bigger throughout the course of this week. And Naz Reid, very, very honorable mention at the end of the day as we head into the weekly awards, because he was very strong most of the week. Very strong. But I did think the guy that led this week, generally speaking, was Malik Beasley. He will get the Alva Wolf Award at the end of the day. Again, a very solid week for Jarrett Culver, too. I like to see pretty much double digits every game. About 20 minutes, 19 to 21 minutes, so basically you average out to 20 minutes a game for Jarrett Culver. Very solid week, I'd have to say, for the young man. Keep bulking up, keep working on your game, and make them have to play you 35 minutes a game, which would be nice. I'd love to see Culver reach his potential, because I know there's something there, and obviously he can shoot a little bit. 3 of 6 from downtown, that's not bad. Obviously there's something there. There is something there. You keep working on it, you're going to get better. You're going to get better. I mean, you're just a young guy, a super young guy. There's no question that you can improve in this league. Some guys, it just never happens. Like Ricky Rubio, for some reason, it just never happened. And every time you thought it was happening, it didn't. It actually wasn't happening. It was just a mirage. And I'm not trying to bash the guy. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. And, well, you saw the game, that type of stuff. You know, the old Mike Zimmer approach. You saw the game because you did see it. The guy missed, the guy's career percentage is like 38%. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Kobe White has been on an influential run, 20-point game after 20-point game after 20-point game, and good to see him. The young Kobe, you could say Kobe White made half of his shots, 26 points off the bench. Very strong game for him. I'm happy for him. Maybe and I guess it's Kobe White versus Jarrett Culver a bit, and it was good to see a little bit of that. But Kobe White certainly had the better game of the two. But Jarrett Culver definitely showed up a bit as well. And Otto Porter is alive. He didn't play particularly well. Obviously, he's probably rusty as an old... Yeah, I don't know. He's probably rusty as a fishbowl that's been down at the bottom of the lake for a year. I mean, he's pretty rusty. Forgive the weird thought process there. But 1 of 8 from the floor. Good to see him back. He's been out since I don't know when. I don't even remember. Daniel Gafford sounds more like an actor from the 1940s, but God bless him. That's what that name sounds like. Daniel Gafford and Cary Grant starring in The Nutty Professor .5. Okay, I don't know. I'm just silly. The Nutty Professor .5. Because remember, the original Nutty Professor was a basketball one, wasn't it? Old, like, 1950s basketball players and stuff bouncing with that flubber. I think that's what that was. I'm losing my mind. I deeply apologize. I don't know what's on my mind right now. But a fun game, solid game. Nice to see Naz Reid get a couple of blocks. I mean, this is what you want out of your center. 16 points, 11 rebounds, even add some assists with 3 of them and 2 blocks. I mean, hey, that's what you want out of your center. And, man, it'd be nice to get that type of performance at center, starting at center with Karl Anthony Towns at the 4. At the 4. I mean, I just think that's better. I think Karl Anthony Towns would spread his wings and fly. I think he'd average 27 points a game. I think his rebounds would be higher, not lower. I think his blocks would be higher, not lower. And his 3-point percentage would be probably higher, not lower. You'd get a little bit of everything out of Karl Anthony Towns. He would spread his wings and fly if you have a nice, big, powerful center who can get a double-double on a regular basis to go along with him in the middle and block some shots, this and that. You got some hope. I'm not sure Naz Reid is a very strong defensive player, but if we could get somebody in the middle who is, well, there you go. If Naz Reid wants to be that guy, go get it, Naz. Go and take it. Go and take it. And that's basically what there is to say there. As for the Johnny Flynn Memorial, I don't know. I mean, is there really any reason to bash anybody in this week? And I know it's like you don't want to take the softy approach. D'Angelo Russell did not shoot very well this week, but I'm not going to be passing it out to him. Jake Layman's toe maybe will get it because he's a lot more rusty. He's not as sharp as he was before the toe injury. Maybe we'll give it to Jake Layman's toe for this week at the end of the day. I mean, Keelan Martin, he did not play poorly. He had limited minutes. The poor guy, he's like the 10th man right now. God bless him. I'd love to see him have a long, successful NBA career, and God knows he's a good friend to D'Angelo Russell, which could possibly be job security as long as he keeps playing a good, solid role for the Wolves. I'm certainly not giving James Johnson any James Shepard Memorial. That's hockey. Johnny Flynn Memorial. Pardon me. McLaughlin solid most of the week. I like what he does out there. Culver very solid, Beasley solid, Okogie, Hernan Gomez. I'm not going to give anybody really anything here. I'm just going to give it to Jake Lehman's toe because it's made him rusty. I'm not going to give it to Lehman. I'm going to give it to his toe because he's he hasn't been as sharp. He just hasn't been. When you're out for months like that, you're not going to be. Even Steph Curry shot poorly yesterday. Finally coming back since October 30th on a non-shooting hand injury. October 30th. I don't remember guys missing 58 games for having a broken non-shooting hand, but I don't know. Welcome to sports these days, I guess. And most of you know what I'm talking about. I'm not that big of an ass, I would hope. With that said, we'll take a quick break. We got 3 games to preview, including the Orlando Magic again. Oh, goody. The Little Beast. Do you like that? And we are back on Timberwolves Explosion Preview Segment. 3 games to preview, if humanly possible. Minnesota Timberwolves will tip off against the Orlando Magic tonight, March the 6th. I can't believe it's March the 6th already. Friday, March the 6th. March 8th, my brother's 42nd birthday against the New Orleans Pelicans. Sunday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. And then a 7 o'clock affair in Houston, Texas on March the 10th, Tuesday. Wolves don't play again until Friday against OKC, and of course that'll be on next week's show. That'll be a 4-game show. Wow, busy schedule. But welcome to the NBA, of course, post All-Star break. We get to play the second place in the Southeast Division. Orlando Magic were 8 games below 500. It is a home game, so hopefully the Wolves could take care of business here and actually win 3 games in a row. Wouldn't that be nice? Why not? We played okay last time around. It wasn't the worst game ever. It wasn't the best game ever either between these two teams. Vucevic leading the club in scoring with 19.4. Fournier can take about 41% from downtown. Terrence Ross can get hotter than you-know-what out there. Kind of like Lou Williams, basically. Aaron Gordon's obviously a supreme athlete. Markelle Fultz is a guy who's finally coming into his own, but not really. About 12 points and 5 assists a game. This and that. A team that can play some defense. A team that's tough out there. They don't get a ton of blocks except for Jonathan Isaac, who, of course, is a crying shame. He's out for the season. A crying shame. Love that guy. It is kind of a mess, kind of a weird team, and if they make the playoffs, they're not going to do a whole lot, obviously. They're going to get beat pretty quick, I got to think, versus Boston, versus Toronto, versus whoever at the end of the day. Don't think they'll be playing the Bucks, but actually, yeah, of course there's a good chance they could play the Bucks if they wind up with the 8th seed, and then it'll be get the brooms out. At least I would hope so, because I would hope the Bucks could take care of business in a quick time. I think the Timberwolves win this game. What do you think of that? How's that for positivity? I think the Timberwolves win this game. I actually like the way the Wolves played the last couple of games. I think it'll be slightly higher scoring than last time around. We're not going to get 91 points, I would hope. Well, that was against the Mavericks, but still a low scoring affair versus the Orlando Magic last time around. 125. Okay, so it wasn't that low scoring. I think this time we get about 125 again and keep the Magic down to 120, and the Minnesota Timberwolves end up winning the game. D'Angelo Russell will lead the way with 30. I expect a better performance from him after a sloppy week. I expect something like 30 points, 9 assists. Hopefully they can keep the turnovers down to 2 or so in this one. Malik Beasley just averaging 20 points a game again, which is something I am expecting out of him. My expectations are high for Malik Beasley. He's having an awesome season with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 11 games, about 21.5 a game, 44% from downtown, 47% from the floor, almost 48 actually, 47.5. He's been absolutely great, Malik Beasley, and I know he's heading into restricted free agency, and the Timberwolves are going to have to cough up some cash to keep him, obviously. Somebody might try to make some kind of an offer sheet on him, but I got to think the Wolves are going to keep Malik Beasley, and I think we have every reason to do that. He obviously is, he's got diamond in the rough in him. Is he a future all-star in this league? I don't know, but he's sure playing like one right now. He's playing at least like an all-star reserve type of guy at the shooting guard position. At least a guy who deserves some kind of consideration at that position in the future, into next season. If he plays at this clip, if this really is who he is, then wow, we really found a diamond in the rough, and that's gonna go down as one of the better trades in Timberwolves history, if not the best. At the end of the day, obviously D'Angelo Russell for Andrew Wiggins could be a very good trade as well, but of course you could be looking at a very high draft pick going to the Golden State Warriors. So there is that too. They are going to get a very high draft pick this year, and they could be getting a very high draft pick next year as well, to go along with, at the time, he'll be a 33-year-old Steph Curry, so you got to put that into perspective as well. Maybe kind of like what the Spurs did as they got older and older, then they got, extremely, let's just say extremely fortunate, but also some damn good scouting, getting a guy by the name of Kawhi bleeping Leonard, a little-known guy who ended up surprising a lot of people with how solid he was right away, and then little did we know just how big of a star he would become in about 3 years' time. The guy went from a really good player, like, okay, he's the best player on the team. A lot of the other guys are getting older. He's super young. He's very quiet. And the next thing you know, 2-3 years later, he's maybe the best player in the league. Like top 3 player in all of basketball. So there is that kind of stuff. Hopefully that does not happen with the Warriors. That's just my hope. I don't think people want to see them winning championships like time and time again the next 10 years, but we'll see. We'll see. I hope not. So there is that fear about the Timberwolves going in the future, but I do think the Wolves win 125-120, and D'Angelo Russell, I'm expecting a much better performance. He actually played pretty well against the Orlando Magic early on. Get that silky smooth blue fox out there, hitting his shots and playing a good solid game. New Orleans Pelicans, this schedule looks familiar, doesn't it? Like, we just played both of these teams. It's kind of funny. An extremely entertaining game last time around, and that one was in New Orleans, so a very, very good win for the Minnesota Timberwolves. One of their better wins of the season at the end of the day, considering how porous our road record was early on in the season and really the whole way. New Orleans did beat the Wolves in Target Center back on December the 18th. This is the rubber match on my brother's birthday. And why not? Why not expect the Wolves to get to 4 wins in a row? Could this be our best stretch of basketball this season? 4 wins in a row for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'm going with yes. New Orleans has not been playing particularly well. They are 1-4 in their last 5. They lost to the Lakers. They beat Cleveland, woohoo, and they lost to the Lakers again. They lost to the Timberwolves, that's right, and they got beat by the Mavericks by only 4. That's actually pretty good. Pretty entertaining game right there as well in Dallas, 127-123. That's not bad at all. But I think the Wolves reached 4 wins in a row. How's that for positivity? How is that for positivity? I think this is going to be yet another entertaining night. James Johnson, double-double. Naz Reid's going to have a nice night. Hitting his threes. There'll be 4 3-pointers. I want to see Jarrett Culver come out and score at 15 points. Wouldn't that be great? I would love to see that. I wish he did that. I wish he had 20 points against Kobe White, but unfortunately that just wasn't meant to be. Of course, one of the draft night rivals, you could say, with him and Garland as well. Those 3 point guards, or point guards / shooting guards, Culver, at the end of the day, kind of going at it there in the top of in the top 6 of the NBA draft there. So we'll see. Entertaining game, without a doubt. Top 7 in the NBA draft. Pardon me, with Kobe White there. I do think Minnesota does win this game, though. I think the Wolves get their 21st win of the year, so we'll be 21-42. We'll have half as many wins as losses, but we'll get to that at least. D'Angelo Russell, I'm just, this one I'm expecting Malik Beasley to be kind of the star player, like he was last time around. He had a hell of a game against the New Orleans Pelicans, and I expect more of the same. Or was that actually against the? he had a lot of his best game of the week was against the Bulls, but generally speaking, I'm expecting another solid night for the Timberwolves backcourt, generally speaking, and James Johnson to show up along with Naz Reid. But Minnesota ends up winning the game. It's not going to be as high scoring as last time around. That was crazy. The Wolves win something along the likes of 122 to, it's going to be close, 122-120, kind of going right down to the wire. A couple free throws late in the game by D'Angelo Russell kind of helped the Wolves win, and he gets to 28 points. Malik Beasley to 33 at the end of the day. I have a feeling Beasley's going to really show up in this one and continue to show Minnesota who they have and who we're going to want to keep, regardless of how big the offer sheet might be from another team, if that does happen at the end of the day. But Minnesota wins two games this week, 4 in a row overall. And then we head to Houston, Texas, which we all know what's going to happen there, right? It's not because Houston's this great team, but the Wolves never beat the Houston Rockets. We beat them once in a while, but I don't think we're going to win in Houston. I don't think so. I don't like the Houston Rockets. I don't think a lot of people do. Back in the day, I loved them. Sam Cassell, Robert Horry, Hakeem Olajuwon, Vernon. Okay, maybe not him as much. Okay, yeah, he was good, but he was crazy. Talk about a guy with a chip on his shoulder. But the Rockets lead 3-0, and I think they're gonna pull out the brooms once again. Minnesota and Houston is just not a good matchup. It's just not good. 20-point loss on November the 16th, 30-point loss on January 11th. And a very respectable 6-point loss on January 24th, kind of recently, semi-recently. This one is going to be, it's not going to be good. I think it's going to be a 20-point loss, possibly 129, 130 to 110, something like that. Not trying to be an ass, not trying to be negative, but the Wolves are not going to beat the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets are the best scoring team in the league. They're averaging 119 a game. They're going to get 130 against this up-and-down Minnesota defense. Obviously, yep, this is the only team we haven't played recently, even though it's kind of recent, but it is over a month ago still. Houston Rockets are playing all right. They've lost 2 in a row to the Clippers and the Knicks. The Knicks, yep. And I always think about the 94 finals, Knicks and Rockets. I loved that series. And you hear from local radio hosts saying how that was like the worst series ever. I liked it. He went 7 games, and there were 3-pointers made in that series. So, I don't know. You think it's just grinded out, boring basketball. Basketball was so boring back then. With Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson. Should I keep going? Dennis Rodman. It was really boring. Do you think basketball was boring in the 90s? The 90s made basketball what it is today. They made the meal ticket for these guys. Are you kidding me? Those guys were the meal ticket for this generation. Are you kidding? So I will not tell you that in a heartbeat. And you know what? The Houston Rockets had an NBA record 3-pointers in that series. And John Starks made a lot of threes. Ron Harper made a lot of threes as well for the New York Knicks. So I don't know. When I hear that, I get kind of like, I just kind of roll my eyes. Like, were you actually watching, or are you just bored because it had Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon? Yeah, Hakeem Olajuwon's real boring. Oh boy, he was so boring in that series. Oh, he just stood there and just kind of, he just did the like 1959 style basket. No, he didn't. He hit the dream shake. All the moves he made in that series. Patrick Ewing's kind of, Patrick Ewing had kind of a Kevin Garnett style game, a lot of mid-range shots and such. Patrick Ewing was actually quite similar to Kevin Garnett, believe it or not, offensively. Garnett and Ewing were actually kind of similar. Watch them play. Go ahead and watch YouTube clips, since that's all we have nowadays. Or maybe NBA TV, if there's old basketball on there, with one as Patrick Ewing, one as Garnett over the course of time. And tell me they're not similar. Their offensive game isn't similar. Patrick Ewing and Kevin Garnett, very similar, actually. But Hakeem Olajuwon, nobody was similar to that guy. Nobody. The most unique center of all time. When I think of the Rockets, I think of those Rockets. I don't think of this yucky team who's never going to win a championship. I don't care how big James Harden's beard is. I don't care how many travels he likes to make and not get called. I don't care how many chips on his shoulder Russell Westbrook has, because, boy, if he doesn't have a chip on his shoulder, I don't know who does. I don't really like people with a chip on their shoulder very much. Let's just leave that where that is. Not a big fan of that kind of behavior. But, sometimes it's good on the court, but if you just leave it on the court, that's fine, I guess. Bottom line, Rockets win by 20. James Harden gets his every call in the book. James Harden sleepwalks through the game and makes his 9 billion shots, and obviously he's a great player. Obviously Russell Westbrook's a great player. They're going to put up great numbers. They'll never win anything, and I'll keep saying that. I think trading Clint Capella away was a mistake, actually. I do. I think that was a mistake. Clint Capella's damn good. If you just want to have small ball all the time, you're not going to win anything. Go ahead and tell me that's creative, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, actually. I'd like to have a legitimate center on my roster. I think you still need that. You can make your 9 million threes, but if you don't have any type of inside game, it's going to catch up to you someday, and you're not going to win jack. That's just my approach. Okay, Rockets win. Rockets win. They'll beat us, but they're not going to beat Milwaukee. They're not going to beat the Lakers. They're not going to beat the Lakers. I'll tell you that right here. They're not going to beat the Clippers either. Staples Center is probably going to host the entire Western Conference Final. That's my guess. But maybe the third seed with Denver there, the Joker, can say something about that. Knock out one of the two. That would probably be the Clippers in that case. If that would probably be the Clippers. Yeah, meeting each other in the second round. Where Rockets and Lakers. Bye Houston. Just seriously, bye. Bye Houston. Bye. bye. Okay, in the second round, if the Jazz don't already take care of Houston, they're actually tied. If you can believe it, Jazz is really good this year without your baby, whatever his name is, without your. Yeah, I don't know what his nickname would be, but this the Spanish Johnson over there, Spanish Magic Johnson, he's not there anymore. So, with that said, Wolves go 2-1 and then get dumped by the Houston Rockets, who will not win anything. I think I got my little mini rant out of the way there. With that said, we'll come back, get to some fan interaction. We'll hear from Wayne Hunt. We'll hear from others. I'd like to hear from Tanae again at some point very soon. Boy, I love the guy. Welcome to the Purple Mafia Hall of Fame as well. Talk to you in a second with fan interaction. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, segment number 3. Time to get to fan interaction at Wolves Explosion. At Wolves Explosion is the Twitter account. Want to thank Tanae and Levi Brown for retweeting the most recent show. They're both from New Zealand. Thank you guys very much. Episode 277, Beating the Buttheads. And that's what we did. And then Lakers, Pies, Browns. That would be Vince Germano out of Australia, Melbourne, Australia in his case. And, of course, we'll hear from Wayne Hunt as well from the Courtside Podcast and Stu Benson. So the whole Courtside Podcast will be a part of this show today, obviously, which is going to be awesome. Courtside Podcast, highly recommended, the best basketball show on the planet. All out of Australia. Wayne Hunt is from Sydney. Vince Germano is from Melbourne. Stu Benson is from Sydney. The second richest man in Sydney. Yep, I got it like that. Both Stu and Vince are Laker fans. Wayne Hunt is a Grizzlies fan, Memphis Grizzlies fan, of course. Big fans of the NBA, though it's an NBA show. They talk about their teams, but generally speaking, they talk about the whole NBA. So we'll hear some Timberwolves talk when we're in the news or just conversations is brought up or I comment about something and get things going, this and that. I comment or Tanae Brown or Levi possibly comment because we're all fans of that show. Courtside Podcast on all the same applications I mentioned for this show: Apple, Google, Spotify. I believe it's on Spotify, iHeartRadio for sure, and TuneIn Radio. It could go on forever. You know, all the other different applications out there. You can listen to podcasts, Stitcher, and such. So, yeah, do definitely check that out. It's the best basketball show on the planet, bar none. Thank you guys for the retweets. I think there's one interaction on Twitter. Sometimes I'm active, sometimes I'm not, or sometimes I get tweets, sometimes I don't. This one is from Tanae, and I know it's here. There it is. Jordan McLaughlin. Dane Moore basically tweeted out, if you don't watch the Timberwolves but watch the NBA, Jordan McLaughlin has been playing like the best player you've never heard of. Not just tonight, but for a month. And yeah, absolutely. I like him a lot. Getting the steal there, putting the ball up for the alley-oop to... That was James Johnson. Great play. James Johnson. Great play for Jordan McLaughlin. He's got a good game. Forcing the steal, driving to the hoop. Nope, that time he actually... he kind of faked it out. He went out and then back in. Gotta love what he does. He's got a high IQ. He can do a little bit of everything. He can hit some threes. He can set other players up. Beautiful, silky alley-oop to James Johnson. Obviously, great play. Now, this was retweeted with comment, of course, from Tanae Brown. He says, McLaughlin quickly becoming one of my favorites. This team has a different vibe to them. It's nice that they have 2 good wins, but even in the losses, I'm still enjoying watching. And me too. You get to see the Blue Fox out there, and of course, the backup point guard, Jordan McLaughlin, can play in this league. What a nice find. Gerson Rosas, you're doing a good job. He's doing a good job. Obviously, the win-loss record isn't great. There's people in town basically saying Ryan Saunders is not an NBA coach. Well, I mean, give it time. We'll see. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Maybe he is. I don't know. I don't think he's that bad. I don't know what to say at the end of the day. I mean, nobody's perfect, obviously. I'm not seeing decisions that are like, what the bleep is he doing? I'm not necessarily really seeing that. Sometimes you said that more with a guy who was getting $10 million a year. I don't think Ryan Saunders is making $10 million a year, but the previous coach was. $10 million a year. And it got a little bit funky out there at times. So there you go. Thank you for that. Jordan McLaughlin, again, one of the better players this past week. And again, the past month, he's really coming around in a big way. So the most recent show was put on Facebook, facebook.com/. Timberwolves Explosion, Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. So now we move on. Alan Crabb was released. So I had a feeling, obviously we're not going to re-sign him, and now he gets a chance to possibly jump on a team for their playoff roster for some outside shooting. We'll see what happens there. So Alan Crabb was waived by the Timberwolves. Wayne Hunt comments saying, he was part of a specific role in Portland and should have taken less for the court time. But hey, take the money and don't come close to producing anywhere else. He played himself. Yep, he got the money, but then, he kind of killed his role in the NBA. I just get sick of teams signing bad players like they are miraculously going to turn it around because they signed with their franchise. If they have been in the league 5+ years and can't be productive, then the chances are bleep, basically. I don't disagree with that at all. He says, oh, thank God. Oh, okay, this was actually first. I don't know why Facebook does this now. It puts the newer comment below, or the older comment below, which is really dumb. He says, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. He had a stint in Portland. He had an okay stint in Portland, got paid in Brooklyn, and then nothing. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. He was very good in Portland and hasn't done anything since. Randy Santana, also out of Australia, says he was stinking the place up. It's bad enough the whole team stinks of steaming shit without old stale crab juice cock blocking our chance at landing a decent free agent. Whew, boy, that was intense. But yeah, I don't disagree with that because that was a lot of money, obviously, and it's off the books now. So, or at least it will be. At least it will be heading into next season. So, yep, he was an expiring contract, and all right. Got rid of Jeff Teague either way. Either way, Jeff Teague or Alan Crabb are coming off the books, which is good. So at least free up some space potentially here. See where we can go with that. I was saying, dear NBA players, stop milking every injury you have. Unbelievable. And no, I'm not talking about Karl Anthony Towns on this one yet. But maybe you could have before with the knee. I have no idea what was going on with his knee. But I don't know. No league milks injuries longer than the NBA. I'm sorry. No league does. And you can't really argue with that. Wayne Hunt, when it comes to visitor posts. Love these. It's good stuff. He says, just a question for the next show. It must be, 5 years for Towns in the NBA now? And although Wolves fans are excited for the potential of next season, let me ask this. What development have we seen from him lately? I can't say I've seen a ton. Honestly. And it's like, maybe like people are unsubscribing or whatever, unfollowing the Twitter or unliking the Facebook page. I believe the numbers fluctuate at times, this and that. That's life. Obviously, people come and go. They're not going to agree with everything. I'm not wearing blue shades with the Timberwolves on it. You got to be more open-minded. You got to be more willing to criticize here and there. And, well, his three-point shot came around the last year and a half or so. It's nice. But at the same time, the inside game is not improved. No. The inside game is not improved. The defense is not improved. Both of those need to improve. And if this was a comment brought up by Corzo, I believe, on KFAN a couple days ago, if these guys truly, or no, this was Gleeman. This was PA and Gleeman, actually, just yesterday. Paul Allen and Gleeman, just yesterday. Gleeman and the Geek Twins and all that. Yep, a lot of people know who he is, obviously. Athletic writer now. Jeez, boy, I'd kill for a job like that right now. Oh, get me out of where I'm at, that's for sure. Anything, man. Anything in the media would be beautiful. Full-time media job. I digress. Back where I need to be. They're basically saying it. Yeah, somebody needs to get a hold of D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. And, yeah, you think everything's going to be all glitz and glory. Now you're together and you do the best ever and everything. But, no, you guys got to really prove it because there's a lot of doubters right now. There are a lot of doubters right now because of, do you guys ever play defense? And are you really focused on winning, or are you just kind of out to have fun a little bit? Out to have fun and put up cool numbers and be on the team with your dogs, as Kevin Garnett would say. That type of thing. Because if that's all it is, the doubters are going to be right. So if you want to prove the doubters wrong, improve your defense. And, play more of a, just go out there and win. Go out there and win, baby. Play better defense. If you have to sacrifice 2 points a game or something to be a better defender and maybe set other players up to be better as well, then maybe all your doubters will be wrong in a quick hurry. But right now, there are going to be a lot of doubters, including ones locally throughout this town. And I'm not gonna get up in their face and tell them how to think, because you know what? If you're not willing to debate and criticize a little bit, I don't think you really know what you're talking about at the end of the day. I don't. Stu Benson from the Courtside Podcast says, he's averaging career high in points per game, 26.5, and assists per game, 4.5, which I appreciate. Both of those statistics too in a big way. And the points per game are coming off basically the same attempts he's taken his whole career. So he's getting more efficient. Yeah. His offense is more efficient. I agree. But his rebounding is back down. Yeah, and that's the problem. The Wolves' rebounding has not been that good, especially now. Holy crap! But even with him, it's back down to 10.8 for eighth in the league. Not too shabby, mind you. Which to me is a sign of him playing too far from the rim. Amen. That's the thing. Because if he was closer to the rim, yes, get some rebounds. And it is ironic, too, how when, again, Pekovic was there and Karl Anthony Towns flapped his wings and flew, he was averaging like 17 rebounds a game when Pekovic was in there. I mean, so that's the interesting part. Whereas now, it's just, I don't know what to say. It's just not happening. And again, he's only thinking about three-pointers. It seems like. You're not a shooting guard, god dang it. We don't want to have 4 or 5 players standing out on the perimeter. That's not basketball. This isn't Larry Bird saying who's taking second here at the three-point contest, 1988 or whatever year it was. Nobody's taking second. Just go out there and play basketball, inside and outside. Balance it a little bit. For crying out loud, that's bullcrap, isn't it? So let's get back to where I need to be. Playing too far from the rim. He should be in the best big man conversation way more than he is. Way more. I agree, Stu. That's awesome. I just think he needs to flex on the L and serve notice. He has it in him, and absolutely. Great comment, Stu. Great comment. That's a gold star for this show. That's a great comment, and thank you, Wayne, for generating the conversation, as you always do. You do an awesome job, and I appreciate that, and I'm going to try to comment more and more on your page as well for the Courtside Podcast. I love when Wayne, Stu, Vince, Tanae, I love when you guys post so much. Levi Brown as well. I just love when you guys post. And the others as well that I posted on here from Australia and locally and such. Man, I missed them. It's been a while. Nicholas Simon, man, gosh, I missed hearing from you, Nicholas Simon, if you're still out there. Hopefully you still are. I know there have been a few. I missed some of you guys. I do, absolutely. Reese Pedretti, guys like that. There's many others as well that are posted on here for years. It's been a little while. Postorino, both of the Postorinos. I know both. Yep. I'd love to hear from you guys again if I could. But thank you, those of you that did comment here. So awesome. Thank you. Always bringing good conversation to the show. And of course, the way to get on with the audio submission is use the free voice recording application on any smart device on the planet. Just open it, click record, treat it like a phone call, save it, and email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. paladinolive@yahoo.com. That information will be in the show description for copy and paste or whatever you like to do. This and that. paladinolive@yahoo.com. And then I will convert it into an MP3 file thanks to zamzar.com. I'm willing to give them a free plug because it's a free service for me because it's such a small file and it helps my show greatly. Converting it into an MP3 because the editing software, in this case Audacity, does not accept M4As, so you can quickly convert it in like seconds into an MP3 and boom, there it is. There's Tanae Brown. There's Vince Germano. Love hearing from you guys. Hope to hear from you more and more and more. If it's audio, if it's text, one way or another, any form of interaction with this show is greatly appreciated. Final thing, if anybody out there can write a positive review for Timberwolves Explosion on iTunes/Apple Podcasts, it's greatly appreciated. It's been a little while. It's been a little quiet, though some of you maybe have as well in Australia or other parts of the world where I have to kind of move around and maneuver through iTunes. I have to go on iTunes and maneuver around. I'll check that again. But hasn't happened lately from any country lately, so that's unfortunate. But it doesn't show when I'm on the American side, which is really dumb. It should just show everybody. It's really dumb that they do that. I wish they'd fix that and put it all in one, because I think it should be. It would show the Timberwolves Explosion has more reviews than it does. Because locally it shows only 14 or something, whereas really if you go worldwide it's in the 20s. And frankly, it needs to be more. It needs to be a lot more. Right? It's a very low number of ratings over the course of the years. I don't know why, but at least they've been good ratings. It's just been very quiet, even though there's a decent amount of listeners out there. I mean, we're talking it's like 0.0% listeners have posted reviews on Apple. So, and well, Google has certainly helped as well. You can have an Android phone and listen to the show as well with Google Podcasts, and of course all those other applications like iHeart and such. Only makes the show better, makes the show branch out some more because other people like different interface from Apple or Google even as well. With that said, can't thank you guys enough. Hope you have enjoyed this week. I've enjoyed the hell out of talking Timberwolves with you. I always do. You guys are the absolute best, and enjoying the sunshine right now, even though it's still kind of cold out, but we're heading quicker and quicker to spring. It's a nice energy boost for me, and probably for others out there as well. We'll talk some more Timberwolves. Hope they continue their winning ways. Until then, take care.